Hi folks, we have to talk about the Fujifilm X100VI because something unexpected and totally crazy is happening in those hours. As you know, the camera was announced a couple of hours ago and I had a chat with a couple of big store owners. So not small store owners, big famous one in different areas. So not only US, Europe, but also other ones. And they are all totally surprised by the high numbers of pre-orders. The pre-order numbers are by a magnitude higher than they had in the previous year from other manufacturers. The only camera coming close is the Nikon ZF, but definitely higher than any recent Sony camera release, but not by a tiny bit, but by factors of 2 or 3 compared to ZV cameras or the other alpha cameras. No comparison at all, and they are surprised that this is happening. They were expecting many pre-orders because the camera is very hyped among the younger generation and the TikTokers and social influencers, so they knew it would sell well, but it's selling much better than expected, even if the exterior didn't change at all, and probably that's one of the reasons why also it's selling, because the design seems to work. And the few major changes that are inside the camera, like the new 40 megapixel sensor, IBIS and so forth, they really make the difference. It makes it a much better camera. It also has new Fujifilm styles, so this is selling like hotcake, and I'm surprised because I was expecting it to be good and making good sales, but it's going into a crazy direction. I hope that in the next days I can give you really some numbers so that you know what I mean with that. So I don't know if Fuji sold 1000 camera in that store compared to the 500 Nikon ZF and the 200 ZV-1F or whatever we had last year from Sony. So this will give you a clear idea what's going on. And why is the camera selling so well? I think there are mainly 3 reasons. One, it's a very compact camera that you can easily carry with you. It has a fixed lens, so you don't bother about carrying with you many more lenses. You have a unique kind of photography style because you have a certain lens, so you don't think about anything else, and it's easy to carry around with you. It makes your life easier. The second thing, the design, of course. The vintage design. It has a design that is appealing, people like it. It's like with the Nikon ZF, it sold like a hotcake because of the design. And yeah, I think we should be clear that design really does matter. For every company out there, specs are important, but design is at least equally important, in my opinion. You can see this on all the stuff, from cars or whatever. People do choose to buy stuff that they like, also from the design, because the specs are often good enough. Every camera you buy nowadays can do nearly everything from good vlogging, good filmmaking, good photography. So design really does matter. The third reason why this camera is selling well is because of the Fuji film simulations. They are very popular and they give you an instant beautiful image that is consistent, so you can choose a style, you know the look will always be the same, and you don't have to waste time on Photoshop to get a nice image. It's reliable, and so the combination of those 3 factors makes this camera very popular. And I can clearly see a trend, because the Nikon ZF did sell like hotcakes the past year. Now we have the new Fuji X100VI edition, and Canon will release probably a classic camera this year. And I think Sony is probably missing the opportunity, particularly because the younger generation is buying those kind of cameras. So if you would win over the younger generation, they are more likely to stay your long-time customer and buy newer gear in the future. And so Sony is probably missing that opportunity, and I do believe Sony should do those 3 things. First of all, revive the RX lineup. They had some nice cameras, but for years we didn't get anything new. So I would love to get a very compact, full-frame fixed lens camera. I think Sony could do it. They could even go further by making it be the first curved sensor camera, so that the lens is even smaller, so that you don't have disadvantage compared to, for example, the Fuji X100 that is APS-C. When the lens having the same size, this would be amazing, and still have an increased image quality, because full frame will always be better than APS-C if you use the same kind of sensor generation. The second thing Sony should do is to finally focus more on design. Engineers from Sony should not design cameras. I know they have a design team, but it seems like engineers are more having the priority inside Sony, and the designers are more there to work around those specs. I think design should be placed at the same level, if not even better. In my opinion, design is even more important nowadays, where the cameras are doing, like I told you before, they're all great. So design is even more important, and they should finally find a new design language. I know the A7 is okay, particularly I think the A93 has a very good body when it comes to handling, and it can also look nice for some people, but it's not a classic vintage looking camera. I know Sony launched the A7C lineup with that idea, but the A7C is basically an A7 without an EVF. It doesn't have, in my opinion, a rounded, beautiful design. It's not a bad looking camera at all. I like it, but it's not very appealing like a Nikon ZF and the Fuji X100. So Sony should completely redesign a new camera, or take some clues from the history of Minolta to design a classic vintage looking camera. The third thing Sony should do, yeah, of course they cannot use the Fujifilm simulations, but it would be nice if they would be able to license simulations from Kodak, Agfa, Ilford and so forth. Imagine having different Portra styles or Agfa styles built into your camera. I do believe this would work. I'm 100% sure this would be a winning pot. And if Sony, you're listening to me and you don't believe in me, call me. I will explain you in detail based on the numbers that I gather around from visitors, interest, stores. I'm sure you have those numbers too from the stores particularly. It's super clear the younger generation wants that kind of style of camera plus kind of easiness in getting to an image that is instantly beautiful and shareable, and you don't have to spend download the images on your laptop and then open Photoshop and start to edit the images, but simply have beautiful images that are ready inside the camera. And you need famous styles like from Kodak and so forth to give them a sort of a historical value and also a certain recognizable look. That's my opinion, folks. But again, I'm surprised by those sales. I never saw something like this in the past years. That's something that I can tell you, and I really saw many camera announcements. The only thing that comes close was the Nikon ZF past year, but not even that close. And it speaks that a lot that the Nikon ZF is the only one that comes sort of closer to Fuji. It really means the younger people want those kind of cameras. So an appeal to Sony to make a new lineup, or to, for example, also change the A7C lineup to a more vintage looking edition. I do believe there should be a new RX full frame camera. I know there's some chance that this might be happening because Sony had some discussions with photographers about that over a year ago, but I don't know if they really are going to make it. But there's some chance that at least I know that they're thinking about it, but I don't know if they're going to release it. So let me know in the comment section what you think about this, and you will also see the links to the Fuji X100VI, to Amazon, VH Photo and other stores affiliated links if you want to check out what the specs of this camera are, and if you want to pre-order it so you get a small commission and you don't pay any cent more. And for the rest, as soon as I have more info about the upcoming announcements, I will share a new video. I have a lot cooking, like for example about Leica, Panasonic, Sony of course, with the next wow product announcement. Probably I will share the first details next week. And so therefore, subscribe to the channel, folks, and I see you soon.